Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Waniel Dingfield.
Wangle Dingfield. Oh.
Waniel Dingfield. Get it right.
I said Wangle.
motherfucker.
I said Wangle.
Yeah, you said it wrong.
Wangle. Oh, I said it wrong.
That was embarrassing. I would be really embarrassed. If I
All right. Well, we're back with another episode, more hijinks, more zeitgeisty things for you to talk about. We're going to talk about HBO's new episode, The Outsider, and then also CBS All Access's new Star Trek series, Picard. But before we get into that, we will definitely open up our geekosphere real quick with some zeitgeisty things.
Ooh, I love the words.
I worked it in for you. I was waiting for it. Yeah.
Work it in, baby.
All right, let's
right
just get it started. So we started our laurels on Star Wars. Let's start with some Star Wars news.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
George Lucas might be back. Rumor?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
My gut instinct is yes, give him all the power and fuck everyone that made the sequel trilogy bad.
Right.
I do realize that he doesn't have a spotless record with Star Wars.
Right. Double right.
But I like his mess ups more than I like everyone else's mess ups in the sequel trilogy. So it's like, I mean, in the end, yeah, I'd say give him, especially with the rumor that he's trying to come in with David Filoni and be the team that really does whatever's next for Star Wars. I'm like, yes, do it.
Well, first of all, let's back up 1 second and let everyone know this is a rumor. This is nothing that's been confirmed. It's from some pretty credible sources that have broken a few things with the sequel trilogy in terms of plot points and other things like that, behind the scenes information. It's interesting. So it's all speculation, right? Some salt to it, or what is it? What's the thing about salt? Take it with a grain of salt.
I thought you were going to Salty Bay.
No, Salty Bay.
That's all
We
I
are
was
all
thinking
salty
about.
bays when it comes to Star Wars.
Is that right? Is that how you do it?
I guess so. What are you doing?
The Salty Bay thing.
Oh, you throwing over the shoulder?
No.
What are you
You
doing?
never seen the GIF where he's like putting salt on
Oh,
something like
you mean this guy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Salty Bay.
I think so.
Oh, I thought you were saying we're like.
I don't know. I mean, I might be not saying that right.
I
I
thought
might get like fucking dragged in the comments of our thousands of listeners and followers.
There's so many fucking comments, Daniel.
There is, yeah. Guys, slow down on the comments, okay? Chill the fuck out, okay? Goddamn.
But George Lucas coming back and Dave Filoni coming back, which we know we've talked about Mandalorian and Dave Filoni and how he's basically the Padawan, if you will, of George Lucas,
if you will.
And it sounds like from that, it sounds like, okay, I'm going to sell my property to Disney, and then I'm going to have Dave Filoni, basically the team I had before I left, but steer this ship right. And the report said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, the new sequel trilogy is a mess. Disney's kind of messed up a few things. He's going to come back in some significant way, but he wants total control. And apparently the Disney, Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, and them are not really up to that. I don't know. It seems like I don't know. I just don't think it's true, honestly. I don't think it's true. I don't think Disney also would. I mean, give what you will with Rise of Skywalker. Mandalorian was a hit. And I think that.
I mean, it's hard to devise. Is that more Filoni or. Director name.
Kennedy or JJ?
No, the director.
Oh, Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Favreau. Like, it's hard to know.
I mean, Favreau wrote it, so it's definitely I would say it's definitely Favreau.
Yeah, and Dave Filoni did direct some of the less liked episodes, but
yes,
maybe they just said, hey, we know these episodes aren't going to be a hit, and we know you do good with filler, maybe? I don't know.
We know these episodes aren't going to be. That's a great conversation to have.
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. So, real quick, yes, yay or nay? You're good for it?
I mean, he wants full creative control, which I get. It's George fucking Lucas.
Right.
And that's his contingency for coming back, his full creative control.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, like we say all the time, in reality, everything that's come after Revenge of the Sith has been fan fiction. But if George comes back, it isn't.
You think he would here's my big curveball. Do you think he could actually convince Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford to do another episode 7?
No, they're not going to redo anything. That's not what's going to happen.
If
anything, it'll be a reboot. It'll be like, they'll basically say, we want you to create the original trilogy scenario with new characters, new situations, new parts of the galaxy or something. I don't know. They're not going to remake the sequel.
Really?
That would just be a PR nightmare. Like God damn, that would just be the word. They're not going to do that. They're
Well,
not.
speaking of Star Wars, there's a rumor that Knights of the Old Republic is coming in a remake form, right?
Oh, yes. I've seen conflicting rumors. Some of them say new game.
New game.
Some of them say KOTOR 1. KOTOR is what, the cool kids say. KOTOR 1 reimagined, which is basically a remaster, remade. I don't know.
Right.
Honestly, I don't care. Give me it. Give me either one. Just give me more, because KOTOR 1 is one of my probably top 5 games of all time.
Yeah.
It's one of the top 5, I think, like Star Wars properties that just is so good at being pure Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah. Give me more. I mean, KOTOR is the king of Star Wars games. It's the king of RPGs in some ways. And so, yes, more RPG Star Wars. That's what I always want. I want Star Wars RPGs up and down every time. Let me make my own character. Let me choose if I'm my light side or dark side. Let me change the color of my lightsaber and fuck people up if I want to. That's what I want to do in a Star Wars game, in an RPG.
How long do you think it will take if, say this is true, it'll be in our hands?
That's impossible to say. Who knows? I mean, who knows at what stage in development this leak has come, right? I mean, most likely it's still early, I would assume, because that's just my assumption. I feel like we probably would have heard leaks before this, maybe, if it had been development for like a couple years or something. I would assume probably best bet it's next gen.
Right.
Maybe
Next
a
gen.
2022 game. I doubt we hear anything about it this year, but man, I would just love it if we did it like at E3 or something. I would love that.
Well, we want that information at light speed. And speaking of light speed and fast things, there's a fast car franchise that just had a trailer tease drop. The official trailer drops Friday, and we were talking about another saga, the Fast Saga, according to this trailer. This is the Fast and Furious franchise that Vin Diesel and a few others have shepherded the last 20 years now. I'm a huge Fast and the Furious, specifically Vin Diesel fan. Daniel, how'd you feel about this little trailer tease?
I mean, it was like less than nothing of a tease.
This is a minute 14 seconds.
Yeah. It seems like it's set up to be where they're in danger and their kid is in danger, and I would assume maybe someone dies.
Right. Well, last movie.
To be fair, I have not watched a single Fast and Furious movie. I'm not against them, but I have no desire to see any of them.
Right. Well,
None.
there's a lot of fans out there. I think there's it offers
No offense.
it offers value. And one thing I remember back when we were in class at UCA was that Bruce Hutchinson, who was on a previous episode, and go check that out when we reviewed 1917.
Dr. Bruce Hutchinson to you.
Dr. Bruce
and
Hutchinson.
me and him.
He mentioned to us, he said he thinks it's the very first basically multicultural franchise in terms of like it has different actors from different cultures, and it's like basically an ensemble piece, and how there's a lot of value in that. And that's why they're so big overseas and everything. And because you have,
Is that why? Or is it because overseas idolize like American culture and fast cars and hot women?
I mean, maybe. I'm telling you what Bruce said. But
Okay.
yeah. But I think
First multicultural.
like
I'm trying to think of one. I'm trying to think of an exception of that.
ensemble blockbuster. We're talking about blockbuster here. We're not talking about any type of medium other than, we're talking about blockbuster. And I think there's
I don't
probably
have an argument. I can't think of anything
Yeah,
that would be before.
I think there's
Fair
something
enough.
valuable there.
When was the first one out? Like 2001?
Oh man, probably maybe late 90s.
Early thousands?
2000. I can check that out. Yeah, it's really early. Yeah, speaking of sequels and franchises, we have a trailer for Mortal Kombat, the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
called Mortal Kombat: Scorpion's Revenge. Apparently, it comes out just in a few months, this spring, which is kind of a cool little thing. I'm pretty up and up on this kind of stuff. I know this is coming out, and it's by the same people who make the DC Universe cartoons that we have, like Batman Year One and
wow.
Batman Red Sun or Superman Red Sun. And
but
Long
doesn't
Halloween.
Konami own Mortal Kombat?
No, Warner Brothers owns Mortal Kombat. That's why whenever you watch Ready Player One, you have Mortal Kombat characters inside Ready Player One, and Spawn, because also
Gotcha.
Warner Brothers owns Spawn. They own the like the video game rights, and they own NetherRealm. They also own Arkham. They own
I know they do that.
they own,
yeah,
like,
the Arkham games.
Was it
of course.
not Rocksteady? It's Rock.
No, it's Rocksteady, and it's
and
WB Montreal.
Yeah, so that's why whenever you get a Mortal Kombat game, you get DC characters, and that's why
Right.
NetherRealms makes Injustice every couple of years.
a little side tangent. What's your guess on? Do we get another? There's been so many leaks and teases and all this shit for a new Batman game. Everyone's assuming Court of Owls,
Right.
from WB Montreal.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do we get it this year?
You know, speaking of Batman games, this week we just got Telltale Games. I guess they reopened their doors in some facet.
No,
and
it's a big mess. So basically, someone bought the Telltale Games name and company and hired back a decent portion of the actual Telltale Games staff. That was loud.
That was loud.
Where did that come from?
That was my computer.
Okay. Can you cut that out, please?
Yeah,
Thanks.
I'll try.
This is a professional thing.
I thought I had it.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So Telltale went bankrupt, defunct. They laid off all their people like in a surprise thing in a week, and then they kind of came out with a couple other games they were finishing, but not really. And then another company bought the Telltale name and their licenses, and then hired back from what I know, a generous portion of the old employees, which is cool. Give them jobs back and stuff. So, but I haven't heard really what.
Well, the reason I brought that up was because I think in the last 48 hours, they have released, there's the Batman Telltale video game series.
I actually just got the first season of that, I think. But it was on Games with Gold for Xbox.
Yeah, but they released it like a noir version, so it's all black and white.
Yeah, no, I think that actually was... I feel like I've heard of that before.
No, that's new.
Brand new? Okay,
yeah,
maybe it is.
For this. Anyway.
Did you play those games?
I didn't. My buddy messaged me the other night. He said he was playing them and he really loved them, and it kind of makes me want to go back and play them. You're on rails, but apparently it's a really good story, and I'm all about the story.
I'm not traditionally like a choose your own, or I guess what would that be? Just it's like a walking sim / conversation sim. Like you really you're choosing dialogue options, and then the action is just like quick time events where you have to hit X at the right time or B at the right time. Right, it's not like combat really. So that game style just never really appealed to me. But I don't know. I've always been more interested in the Batman Telltale games than any of the other Telltale.
The
games.
only one I've ever played and I played period and also beat was the Back to the Future Telltale games. And I
didn't even know this existed.
It's an actual sequel to the trilogy.
Is it good?
Yeah,
you liked it?
Yeah, I really did. It's actually a pretty good little backstory on like the Emmett, Dr. Emmett Brown, his family, and they get some of the actors. I think it's his girlfriend from the trilogy from 2 and 3. They get her to come back to voice characters, and
that's really cool.
So they got some of that going. Anyway, the whole point of that was Batman video games. And do you think we're gonna get it? Yes, I think it was
this year?
It was heavily. We're definitely getting a trailer for something at E3. It's got to happen. I don't know if we'll get to.
It's been like, when did Arkham Knight come out? Was that the last one? Arkham Knight?
2015.
It was 15 or 16. I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we're on 4 or 5 years since.
It may have been 14. It was 2015 because I had just finished a film that previous semester.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, those games were I'm fairly certain, like Arkham Asylum was Rocksteady. Arkham City was WB Montreal. Arkham Origins was Rocksteady. I'm pretty sure they've alternated like that.
No, the Arkham Asylum City and Night are all Rocksteady.
Okay, WB Montreal only did Origins. Which is the least well received.
It is, and it's still fine. It's got issues, but it's it's for a game. It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I played the hell out of City. I haven't really played. I've tried Night, but man, City to me is the king.
Man,
I mean,
you've got to watch Night because the end of Night. Well, the main end of Night is incredible. The 5-second teaser is not incredible.
Okay,
but I think yes, I think we're going to get the Court of Owls thing. There's been too many leaks. There's been too many rumors, at least from them. I think Rocksteady has something, Justice League or Superman or something like that. They're fixing to crack open. Excuse me, and I think. It's just a matter of time. I was very surprised. That's the only reason I watched the Game Awards this year is because I was waiting for the Batman trailer and it didn't drop, and so I was kind of disappointed.
We totally teased it like it would. Almost.
We got some cool things that at the Game Awards, but it wasn't anyway. Not that thing.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. Speaking of Warner Brothers, we have Birds of Prey coming out pretty soon.
What's the release date for that?
It's February 12th. I think it's the same weekend as, I think it's Valentine's Day weekend, or it's February 18th. It's around that ballpark. But Margot Robbie was quoted recently this week saying that she's really pushing for Poison Ivy to be into the DC universe. And that's a cool little thing. And reason why we got Birds of Prey was because she was initially attached to Gotham City Sirens, which had Poison Ivy and some of these other characters. And then she ended up doing some research on, all these female characters, and she ended up heard of the Birds of Prey, and she thought, oh, hey, Birds of Prey, I can introduce a whole bunch of people instead of these specific.
So is Margaret Robbie like making these films? It sounds like she's like the executive producer.
She is like a producer. Whenever she, she had a lot of success with Wolf of Wall Street, and then also when she did, Suicide Squad, she ended up getting a lot of power from that, and she ended up starting picking her own projects like I, Tonya and Focus and all these other things. She was
one of the better parts of that movie, right?
I mean, her and Will Smith are the best parts of that film.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she really seems like a very
she nails
really
the
honest Harley, like a pure Harley Quinn.
She nails the
type
character. She nails the character.
Will you turn off your goddamn devices?
Actually, it's your wife.
Why is she texting
you? It says reacted to your story.
God damn it. Wife.
We love you, Kat. So she ended up, kind of shepherding the Birds of Prey movie, and now we're getting it in a couple weeks, and the reviews have dropped, and apparently it's really fun and it's really good, and it's not your
the trailers I haven't grabbed because it's been that whole like I'm hoping it's making fun of the trope, but it's whole that trope of like the freeze frame, and it's like yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got. She's like talking.
Oh,
she's like narrating
100%
all the
like
trailers.
that. Yeah, like the unreliable
But I hope
narrator.
they're just like really trope, like making fun of it, because that's the only way it'll be enjoyable.
It seems like it seems like it's over the top and kind of all over the place. So I mean, I'm interested. I'm more excited about Ian McGregor as Black Mask.
Very true.
That'll be cool. But I think it'll be interesting. Speaking of Warner Brothers, we also have some Green Lantern news. One thing I kind of meant to mention last time in Crisis, but we had some bigger nuggets happen this last week that I thought really need mentioning now. Over the course of the Arrow series, we have had a few teases that maybe John Diggle, who is his partner since like episode 1, he might have a Green Lantern connection. And in one flashback, his stepfather, his last name was revealed to be Stewart, and then John's Stewart is the Black Green Lantern, right?
Okay.
And
didn't know the name. That's good.
Yeah, John Stewart. He's one of the first like Black superheroes ever. Actually,
I do remember that.
Created by Neil Adams.
I watched like the old cartoon Super League Justice League show.
Yeah, and that's kind of like our generation's introduction to Green Lantern is John Stewart. Actually.
Yeah, I did watch that. I did like Black Green Lantern. I thought it was one of the coolest parts of the Justice
League Unlimited. Yeah, and
that's right.
Yeah. So another thing that happened in the show, there was a alternate Flash come up and he said, "Where's your ring at, John? Like on my Earth, your John has a ring, right?" And so it's kind of more things there. They asked the actor this week. They said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And he said, "Just stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of answers in the series finale happening this week." So maybe
check in next week for the answers.
He may be John Stewart for the HBO.
Ooh, I don't see HBO doing that.
You don't think so?
No, yeah, HBO is so stingy with who they hire and who they work with. But listen
to this though, I think it's Mark Gunningham, the guy the showrunner for every single CW show. He's the showrunner for the Green Lantern show on HBO.
And who is he? He's the showrunner on all the WB shows.
It's Greg Berlanti and Mark Gunningham, I think. He's the showrunner for all of them.
Okay.
So,
who knows? I mean, that would be crazy.
I personally, even though I really like John Diggle in the show, I don't really want him to be
the Green Lantern in the show.
No, I just don't think, honestly, as much as I love Arrow and Flash and all this kind of stuff, the quality is not to me up to par to what to anything. But I mean, but especially a Green Lantern, which is like my baby, a Green Lantern show on HBO, like I can't see the quality jump there. Like saying it's the same universe just for the sake of quality.
Right, and that's what I think of an HBO is pure quality. That's what they want. That's their bottom line. Is it has to be the best. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can see.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's the same actor, but he's also playing John Stewart. I don't know. There's something. But he's also a little older though. He's probably in his late 30s. So I don't know. But speaking of Green Lantern, we also have some more DC news. With the Batman started production. They started principal photography with Matt Reeves. Cool
Which
thing.
I'd already thought it had, but
yeah, I think it was second unit photography. The last
that makes sense. They're probably just getting a bunch of like Gotham City at night.
Yeah, get him some various things
with a Batman stand-in.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things in this that the slate that they showed, and what's a slate, Daniel? Tell our viewers what a slate is.
I mean, if they don't know, they're idiots. But I'm kidding. Well, you are. But It's
we want our viewership to
it's
go
the
up.
thing you all
not
know that
down.
clacks in front of people's faces. I don't need to. It's the clacker.
There's a ton of
That's
people
what
who
you
don't
guys
know
know.
what a slate is.
But they know that trope from
They know
movies.
that. They know that.
It's
Sure.
the clacker thing that marks it's so you can sync audio and sound.
There you go.
There you go.
So the slate revealed the Batman, right? So we had the logo and the title of the movie. It was very much rumored for a long time that's what it was going to be called, but it seems now that's kind of the official title. And if not, of course, that can always change.
Indeed.
What do you think about the title?
I mean, it sounds like the only Batman title we haven't used yet.
Right.
No, that's not.
We talked a little bit
Batman
earlier today
Begins,
about, some other things like the Cape
the other
Crusader,
movie,
World's Greatest
yeah.
Detective. I think also
I mean,
mentioned,
they were never going to name it World's Greatest Detective.
No,
because there would
that's-
be so many people that wouldn't know that was a Batman movie.
No, I think that one's a weak one for sure. But I think something that would have been cool is to have like a name that's unrelated to Batman at all. Like I say unrelated, like as in you don't have the name Batman, like the Long Halloween or the Court of
I do
Owls.
agree. I mean,
or
but again,
Dark
your
Victory.
problem is marketing. And you're working with, who owns, is this WB that owns it all, right? DC?
Yeah, Warner Brothers does.
They've missed the mark so much on their films. They are not going to risk. Really, the only thing their films have done is make money. They've been critically panned for the most part, right?
Besides,
They are
the
not going to
last
do anything
4.
that will.
3.
What weren't critically panned?
Aquaman, Joker, and Shazam. And now Suicide Squad.
Okay,
actually,
well,
or Birds of Prey got
Joker
good
doesn't
reviews.
count.
Yes, it does.
It does. It's not in the same universe. It's not in the
It's not.
DCEU, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
But
But Shazam and
Shazam, I
Wonder
guess,
Woman
counts.
I mean,
Wonder
Man of Steel
Woman.
had decent reviews to it.
No, it's true.
Really, their only stinkers are critically are BVS, Justice League, and Suicide Squad.
Right. So the ones that they spent the most money on.
Arguably.
The budgets, I'm sure, were highest on all of those.
Yeah,
more
I
than
mean, you
any
got Will
others.
Smith going on.
So what I'm
yeah.
saying is they are not going to risk the only thing that these big budget movies have had, which is money. They've not panned. They've been, critically not received well. I don't think they do anything to risk that. So they are going to make it is a PR, like we have to make sure this is a Batman movie. And I think I would personally love like The Long Halloween or
Man, that'd be awesome.
other, titles that reference some really cool comic lines. But I just don't see that. I don't see that flying by the marketing company. They're like, no, we need it to say Batman.
Right.
We need Batman. We need that buzzword. That's a huge searchable word. Now, because right now, if you search Batman in Google, one of the top hits is going to be this.
That's true.
And that's a big deal.
One thing, also, there was some speculation and rumor that Peter Skarsgård, who trying to think something.
Is that Bill Skarsgård's brother?
I don't know, honestly.
It has to be. Skarsgård cannot be that common of a name.
But Peter,
maybe it isn't like Iceland.
Did
maybe
you
like
watch?
maybe Skarsgård is like in Iceland is like Smith here, where it's like, oh, what's up, John Skarsgård?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Do you?
Could work.
Did you ever watch Green Lantern?
Which? Oh, the movie? No.
You never watched it.
Nope.
I'm trying to think something you might know from Peter Skarsgård. Anyway, he's a pretty well-known actor, but it was rumored for a long time that he's going to be Harvey Dent, right? But he's not. It's been confirmed since his press release today and yesterday. He is playing another district attorney named Gil Coulson. So it's the original character, and I'm kind of glad personally because to me he is not Harvey Dent material.
Okay.
He just don't like, to me, Aaron Eckhart in The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
is
he's there's
perfect.
It's going to be hard to top him at all.
He's perfect.
He's perfect. And,
I don't know.
And his arc in that is perfect.
He's a perfect.
And just
Harvey
the way
Dent.
they tell his, I mean, that was The Dark Knight, in my opinion, is an amazing movie. It's not the best Batman movie because it's really more about the villains, in my opinion. And that's not a slight. I mean, it's
We need to break
perfect
down.
film. Oh, I'd love
We
to.
need to break down The Dark Knight and Batman because I believe I actually agree with you. I think Batman Begins the better Batman movie.
And I honestly kind of enjoy it more at times. There's parts of that I love about Batman Begins that I miss. In
I
Dark
love
Knight.
the structure of Batman Begins.
Yes, exactly.
And how you're bouncing back and
Exactly.
forth.
But all that to say, The Dark Knight is the Joker and Harvey Dent's movie.
Yeah.
And they do those characters so well.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me that Todd Phillips even touched him like they did. Just because, it was just
But they're
bar was
also
set so
so
high.
different. So they kind of get away
Oh,
with
for
it
sure.
that way. Man, we need to talk about that sometime. Like, what's Batman's? I mean, his external goals are easy. I guess his internal goals are kind of easy too. In terms of, like he doesn't want to be Batman anymore, and he wants to have Harvey Dent replace him, and he wants to settle down with.
Yeah, we need to dig into that.
Yeah.
Like a whole episode. Maybe a baby cast
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
or a new word you'll make up for
why
kind of
Batman
things.
Begins is better than The Dark Knight.
That's my thesis. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I would personally have that thesis.
Well, if you want to see the episode, please write in and prop us up, and maybe we'll do a little special baby cast for it.
By the way, if I look like I'm like tweaking, it's not. It's not that I'm tweaking. Promise. Just don't look at my. Don't look here.
Look at it.
10 minutes before this, my allergies decided to revolt. So this eye is watering like it's a waterfall, and then this nostril is following suit. Maybe I've had a half stroke. I don't know. Like this side of my face is like water gushing, and it's.
We'll call you Harvey Stroke pretty soon.
It's annoying, but I'm not going to go get up and wipe my eyes or blow my nose because I love you too much. And I know you'd much rather hear me sniff into the mic.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't?
So Batman comes out. Maybe by the time the movie comes out, your allergies will be fixed. And the release date for Batman is June 25th, 2021. I'm trying to segue. Into
Please
stuff.
seg this
I've been
way.
segueing a lot this.
You have.
episode.
You've been good. I've been liking this.
I've been trying. I've been trying to pull my
Seg me, baby, one more time.
my John August segueing. So speaking of DC and comic books, we have some other movie news on the other side. Marvel, or some, I guess TV news, to be more specific. So Falcon the Winter Soldier, we know that is now premiering in August of 2020. And we also,
when was the previous date?
I think it was rumored to be.
There was no set date.
No set date, but it was kind of rumored to be like next year possibly, or the end of this year. But now it looks like it's August for sure. I think it got bumped up a little bit.
Well, that makes no sense because they moved up Scarlet Witch to this year.
Yeah, and
right.
also Obi-Wan.
And we knew
got
that one would
pushed.
be first.
Well,
we knew Scarlet Witch would be
Obi-Wan.
second.
Right.
So it was like if it didn't come out in like August, there's almost no time for two shows to have a full run.
It's interesting because we'll get to Loki in a second actually, but one cool thing here we have is that there's been some photos released online, some set photos of Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son, Goldie Hawn's son. He is playing U.S. agent and who is kind of like the U.S. government's answer to Captain America, right? So we had a few speculation a few episodes ago about what this series or season could be, and we kind of discussed a little bit about maybe the Falcon isn't, not only is he not accepting the Captain American role, as easily as maybe, some would think, but also more importantly, the U.S. government is not accepting him. And so he not only has to convince the government, he has to kind of find the Captain American within.
No, I love that. Well, and I think it just brings up an opportunity to really delve into like social issues we're dealing with now, right? Like the government doesn't want the black Captain America. They want another white Captain America.
Exactly.
I have no doubt that's going to be addressed. And I'm glad like that needs to be a part of the narrative if you're going to do this kind of story. And that's super interesting.
It's got to be. Yeah.
And I'm just, that sounds awesome. I'm glad that, I think the best movies deal with things, reference things that are, current things that we deal with as far as social and culturally. And yeah, I'm into it. That sounds great.
I think it's going to happen. So I'm trying to think. Yeah. Pretty cool stuff happening there. So with Falcon the Winter Soldier, I think, and again, one thing I think would be cool is next season is called Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
I think you're right. I think that's totally a call. Good call. He's really going to, and I don't think it's even going to prove it to anyone else. I think it's more about he's going to prove it to himself. Because I'm assuming there's going to be like a case of like imposter syndrome type thing. Like,
of course.
I don't deserve this. I'm not Steve Rogers. I get that. And to be fair, he's not superpowered. Which would immediately make anyone feel like they're stepping into Steve Rogers' shoes and like, oh, but I can't run fast and punch things hard. I don't know if I should be doing this.
Yeah,
job,
I mean, his
right?
partner, Winter Soldier, is more qualified physically than he is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So cool. So we have that happening, and also on the Marvel Studios TV, which is called Marvel Studios Television, by the way.
Okay.
Or Marvel Television Studios. It's one of those names. They had the official title. Who cares? I'm curious if they'll have like a new logo.
They will.
You think so?
Yeah.
So not only that, but we also have WandaVision coming out pretty soon, and they're already in principal photography for that. And
we've seen those little
some set photos and other things.
Teasers.
And Paul Bettany was quoted as saying that it's fucking bonkers.
Can't wait.
And that
Can't
it's
wait.
like it's so out there and so different, and it's kind of almost ballsy and wild that we're doing this kind of thing. Which makes me feel like, it makes me more excited for the multiverse.
We know this is getting into multiverse, so that makes total sense with what we're expecting.
And also, I just think that it's Marvel really like, they've done everything right, so they got to take chances and they got to keep growing and stay relevant and stay important to the conversation, because typically after the bubble gets so big it breaks, right? And they got to have to not only manage expectations but also keep the bubble alive.
Right. No, I agree totally. I mean, and has it been announced that this directly leads into Doctor Strange multiverse?
Yes.
Right. I have no
Yes.
doubt that the last episode will leave some thread that is immediately picked up or with the movie.
Well, Scarlet
And
Witch
that'll be great.
is in Doctor Strange in the multiverse of
Right.
madness. Yeah.
Which I already shared my whole theory.
Yes,
on this,
yeah,
right?
but on a
We
previous
won't go over it
episode.
again.
Which
Well,
you
you
should
can
check- you should
you have to
check
go
that
watch
out.
it, you bastards. If you want to know my perfect prediction, which will come true, go watch it. Old episode.
And the final news on the Marvel Studios television, it's rumored heavily that Loki is getting a season 2.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm surprised. See, because the one season thing with Marvel always made so much sense to me because they have such A-list actors. And
Yeah.
if they weren't A-list, they are now after the Marvel movies they've been in, right? Like
Right.
they're like now being very desirable actors. And so I was always like, yeah, it makes total sense that we're only getting one season of each because a season of television is so much more of a commitment than a movie.
Right.
You know, I mean, you're talking 8 to 10 hours of story versus 2 to 3. So that's interesting because Tom Hiddleston,
I mean,
he was
but what
rumored
else
to be
is?
James Bond a couple of years ago. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but
Like,
but what's he really going to do though? You know what I mean? Like he's not.
I mean, honestly,
I mean, I love you, Tom. But what are you
him
going
as
to do?
Loki is my favorite thing. I mean, he's just such a perfect.
He is
Loki.
perfect, but I feel like we kind of talked about this previously. But I feel like we've done everything we can with Loki. I mean, we've really went from.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's always been that like kind of side of him that's like tormented and like not wants to be someone he's not or wants to be someone he is.
But we
and-
did that in Thor: The Dark World. We did that in.
But it was never really
Ragnarok.
resolved.
And
He always ends up going back
No,
basically
I mean,
to old Loki.
In Infinity War, he makes the choice. Actually, at the end of Ragnarok, he makes the choice to kind of band it with Thor, and then Infinity War cements that even more. And also on top of that, the Loki we're getting is the mischievous,
Yeah, from
mischievous
Avengers 1.
from Avengers 1. So he has
Right.
not went through all these character arcs.
Right.
He might learn some. Who knows? But we don't know what the show is really about, other than him like basically traversing through the multiverse in some form, right?
Yeah.
More multiverse stuff.
Who knows?
I'm there.
I mean, exactly. Marvel has done nothing but surprise and delight me. So I'm in. I've already got Disney Plus for a year, and I'm sure I'll renew it next year. Whatever, you know.
I mean, yeah, Marvel and Star Wars, I'm there literally till I die. So
Yes.
that's kind of it for the Geekosphere. So let's kind of jump into some of the bigger topics we're talking about this week. The first one, the smaller one of the two, is probably HBO's. Maybe we're on an HBO kick lately. HBO's
the shit.
I
man.
guess so, man. HBO's The Outsider.
Yeah, episode 4.
Yeah, so season 2 is actually had the writer's room of the Graham Gordy of Arkansas fame.
Yeah, hey Graham, you want to come on the podcast?
Hey, Graham, we're here waiting for you, man. You know, we'll hit you up when we're ready for you. But speaking of season 1, we're 4 episodes in now, and it's
Yeah.
based on a Stephen King novel.
Do we know how many episodes we're getting?
I'm sure we do. I don't know the answer to that though.
I would assume 8 or 10.
Yeah, I would
'Cause
sure
everything's 8 or 10
I would sure. I'm
on
assuming
HBO.
it's small. So far, what's your initial thoughts? It's not, we can't talk too long about it, but
No, I mean,
How do you feel about
it was so far. I'm just really enjoying it. I love mysteries. You know, the monster is really interesting to me. The whole doppelganger or El Cuco, as
Oh.
we learned this time.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
Spoilers.
it's awesome. The only worry for me is that I love how like realism everything is, and I'm like wondering how are they going to defeat this monster without like magical powers or something. You know what I mean? Like or like some religious and you know I don't know. I'm just hoping that the conclusion of them defeating this still feels consistent with the grounded world we've kind of been introduced to up to this point. Like the monster has been the only fantastical thing that we didn't even seen.
Yeah, the show itself is very grounded. You know, of course, there are the small glimpses we see of like this doesn't feel right, this doesn't seem right, some kind of supernatural elements, but even those moments still feel very grounded. And
Right,
real
and
in
even the
world.
monster, like, right, like he seems to be bound by like natural laws in some way. Like,
and we think it's a monster. I mean, like all the signs
true,
point to something supernatural.
It's
but is
what,
it?
How
We
would it
don't know.
not be if it's
I don't know.
doppelganging people? Like, what would be the other
I have no idea.
answer?
I don't know. But here's the interesting thing. There is, season 2 we just mentioned with Graham Gordy, right? Season 2 is happening. Do you think this will be resolved this season? We'll get another anthology kind of thing for season 2, or do you think that we will bleed this season's narrative over into season 2, which I feel like will be way too long?
I think they will deal with this monster in season 1.
And it'll be something
But
else.
there could be more monsters.
Wow.
And really, that's
Same
really hinted
characters,
at
though?
in this. I don't know. Maybe some. I could see the private detective.
I can
Continuing
see that. I can see
beyond.
her going across.
But just the fact that we really kind of named the monster in this episode, and like the fact that every different culture and different continent had a different name for this thing, and the woman she talks to that's telling her about this is like, there's not just one, there's many devils, right? So to me, that seems like an obvious way to go, but I'm hoping it surprises me, because it's been pretty surprising me so far.
It's been interesting. I'm not sure if it has been surprising in ways. I think it's been a slow burn, but it's been interesting enough where I'm like, okay, I'm coming back. And I feel like even the last episode, we had some decent reveals. I feel like the last 2 episodes have been kind of flatter than the first 2. And I feel like we need something. We really need, here's part of the issue, is that Ben Middleton's character, he's been kind of not doing a whole lot while the detective's been working.
Which one is him?
He's the main detective.
Okay, yeah.
He's been kind of like stagnating as a character at the moment, and we really need him to learn the information that she has. That way we can really see how he reacts and how they're going to move forward.
Yeah.
Because to me, he's the main character.
He's the protagonist.
Yeah.
He has been since the beginning.
And we've kind of left him the last 2 episodes, especially the last episode. So I feel
You're
like...
right. He did very little screen time this last one.
Yeah. And it makes,
except for like the end of the episode with that kid.
Yeah. And it makes sense what they're
van.
doing, but still it feels like he really needs to be let in what's going on. But maybe we'll find that out in episode 5. The show comes out 8 o'clock on Sundays, at least Central Standard Time. And we'll kind of keep you updated on how we feel about the show and whether you should check it or not. Clearly, we're giving you some spoilers, so if you haven't checked it out, be aware of that next time. So the big thing of the week this week is CBS All Access, as you know, has just released the first episode of Jean-Luc Picard.
No, it's called Picard.
It's called Picard.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, that's why I emphasize Picard. So
yeah, man, I loved this premiere. In fact, I think it's maybe one of the strongest Star Trek pilots. Period.
I don't have much to go off of there.
Well, say what?
I don't have much to go off on Star Trek pilots.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Star Trek always has a hard time. And well, I'll give this reason. I think the reason it's so good is because it doesn't have to do as much exposition. Right. We all know Jean-Luc, right? We all know kind of what life was like up until, I guess, Insurrection or Nemesis.
Nemesis was the last one.
And so all it has to do is just give us an idea of what's been happening since then. It doesn't have to just... most Star Trek pilots, you've got to introduce, most of them have like 10 to 12 key characters on the ship that have to be introduced and given backstory and all this shit. That Voyager's was okay. TNG's is not great. Honestly, the Next Generation's pilot may be one of the weakest episodes of that show, just because it has so much exposition to get through. But this one, man, I just felt it. I was just in it all the way. What did you think?
I mean, it does. First of all, my dad was a huge Star Trek fan. It was, to me,
Star Trek.
Yeah, right? He told me the first thing he ever period remember watching was the very first Star Trek television show in 1965.
That's cool.
And so it's interesting that I grew up more of a Star Wars fan, but I've always had a love for Star Trek, particularly the movies, right? And I remember watching some OG Star Wars. I've watched a little bit of TNG here and there, and I've watched a few episodes of Discovery and Voyager and Deep Space Nine. And I really do enjoy JJ's trilogy.
Yeah, I do too.
With Justin Lin finishing out with Star Trek Beyond. So I'm always there for it. Right? I love it,
right.
And I felt like, I mean, first of all, it's Picard, so
he just steals every scene.
He's so good.
I would watch him monologue as Picard for 60 minutes and be satisfied. Sir Patrick Stewart is such a magnificent
actor, and he's
got it.
Like, he just slipped back. He put those shoes back on like it was nothing.
To me, Patrick Stewart's maybe one of the best actors ever. Probably in the conversation of like top 50 ever best actors.
I could see that. What's cool about this is that I think if you're a Star Trek fan, then you can, of course, you get all the references, you get all the cool little callbacks. But if you're not a Star Trek fan or you don't really know a whole lot's going on, you can really just watch this episode and kind of pick up the main story beats pretty easily and kind of know what's going on. I mean, just by Picard and just the way they present him and his dialogue and his emotion, you know exactly who this character is immediately. You know, he's someone who was in Starfleet, or at least a high position in the military.
They
right?
obviously call him captain all the time,
right? And you know that he's someone who has left for reasons, and you get those reasons, and you also see like Data, and you see.
Which
how
the
that's
Data
connected.
stuff would probably be pretty confusing without having seen Nemesis and really Nemesis.
I think
mainly.
so, but I feel like they give you enough that they kind of tell you everything you need to know.
They do.
You might do some digging and that kind of stuff, but honestly, this is really, of course, they want to appeal to everybody, but you can really tell this show is really for those fans who missed. Who basically...
It's for me. It's for me.
Yeah.
It's for me. I will say, like my Star Trek history, I grew up, my dad raised me on TNG, basically. Like that was I remember watching, and he loved Picard so much, and I think part of it because he was bald too.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's like, here's this badass bald guy who takes no shit and gives no fucks and just, is himself and is really, full of integrity and all this kind of stuff. I kind of think of my dad when I watch Picard. But man, I just loved it. And then, I'm sorry, I also watched Voyager as a kid, like on TV. I remember watching the finale there, and I really love Voyager. I know some people don't love it. I just grew up with it. It's my Star Trek. But man, from the very beginning, I feel like Star Trek Discovery, not a big fan. I just feel like it's not what Star Trek, the heart of Star Trek was always supposed to be, which was this interesting, nuanced, not black and white social issues and cultural problems put into this futuristic world where humanity has solved all their crap, but now they're having to deal with aliens, right? And it puts a new perspective on just everything we deal with on a day-to-day basis, whether it's, race or gender or all this kinds of stuff. It was always just so progressive. Like that, Star Trek has been one of the most progressive shows on TV ever.
Yeah.
Like it was doing things in the 90s that no one else did.
Hell, in the 60s.
Hell yeah, exactly.
I mean, one thing to say about Discovery, it really feels like, okay, we know that JJ took over Star Trek, right? And
new timeline,
the Kelvin timeline, right? And this resides in the Prime timeline. But Star Trek with the 2007 reboot is very much, you had the Star Trek characters, but you have like a blockbuster kind of feel,
right?
And Discovery tries
it
tries to replicate that, but
but
the problem is they don't have the characters.
I agree.
And so you don't have those characters and those like archetypes to rest your laurels on, that like, since we know who Bones is already, we know who Captain Kirk are. Yep. So we can kind of attribute not only our past history from Star Wars onto this movie automatically, but we get like fresher, kind of hipper takes on them, right? But with Discovery, you're getting that blockbuster sensibility, the lens flares, the camera moves, the action,
right? But
you don't have any predisposed, exposition of who these characters are, and it doesn't work so much because it's not. You don't have that built-in mythology, right?
Right.
So bringing in Picard back, and you have Jean-Luc Picard, you have Data coming back, you have all these references to the prime time.
And I do want to mention some of the references. Is this a good time?
Real question, real quick, for my own, because I don't know. Does Discovery take place in the Kelvin timeline, or is it?
I'm 9. I think it does. Absolutely,
I think it does. Okay,
pretty positive. I mean, yes.
Go on.
Yeah, so I'd like to. Man, there were some really satisfying, like, I guess Easter eggs, but not even Easter eggs. They were kind of just right out there in the open. References, I guess, is a better word. So obviously the opening is we hear Blue Skies being played,
right?
Which is a wonderful callback to Nemesis, which had some issues, but Nemesis opens with Data singing Blue Skies to Riker and Deanna at their wedding. And then the end of the movie, obviously Data sacrifices himself in Nemesis, spoilers, but it's been like 40 years.
It's been a long time.
But at the end of the movie, Data tries to upload his positronic matrix, which is tech, but technically gobbledygook, but we all know what it is. It's his brain. It's robot brain. Gobbledygook. He tries to upload it into B4, which was a older prototype of him. So it was basically a not as advanced android as Data was. So it didn't have all the capabilities and basically it didn't work. But at the very end, once Data sacrificed himself, Picard hears B4 humming Blue Skies. And it's just kind of this moment where you're like, oh man, maybe some Data's in him. So this movie opens with it. It opens with a dream. Oh man, I love the poker game. The poker game is another huge reference just to TNG because poker was a constant.
I mean, it's how the series ended.
It is, exactly. Yeah. The final shot was a poker game. And Data was always like and it was always fun because Data was always like, he didn't have a tell. He was an android.
Exactly.
So they kind of play on that. I love that part. I'll say I love the moment because it's very famous of Captain Picard. He always when he went to his quarters, he said tea Earl Grey hot,
Right.
but then he says tea Earl Grey hot decaf, and it's just this wonderful like he's still Captain, he's still Picard, but he's old. And you know what? Old people should have less caffeine. It's like, you know what? It's just like, that's great. That's
pretty
wonderful.
awesome.
And of course, the dog. Number one.
That's a cool thing.
God, what a one. I mean, that's perfect. I hope I would have thought of that too, because it's perfect. So the main other one I want to bring up, because there's a bunch, but so obviously we're spoiling this a little bit. The arc is that a woman approaches Picard that may or may not be Data's daughter. Basically, she ends up dying, and he goes to the
Spoilers.
Yeah, I already said that.
I know. I just
Okay.
want to reiterate spoilers.
He goes to the Daystrom Institute in like Tokyo, which is like, is the Daystrom Institute a real thing? Because that sounds so familiar. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But he goes there to get research because that's where apparently androids used to be made. The other thing is that androids like destroyed the the Utopia Planeta shipyards on Mars, which is where every Enterprise and Voyager was built. If you didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
Those are the shipyards where that built all the
I'm kind of in the dark on Star Trek. I know like the big, heavy pop culture things,
right?
But I don't know all the nitty gritty.
Right. So he goes to the Daystrom Institute to try to investigate, right? To see if this, because the big thing was she was flesh and blood.
Right.
She was an android, but also completely flesh and blood and completely basically had an entire, like she was not an android. She didn't have programming. She was
very
a person.
Westworld, very Blade Runner.
Sure, absolutely. So he goes to her and she mentions is she was working under Dr. Bruce Maddox.
Right.
Which is a key episode. There was an episode of TNG, The Measure of a Man. And it's a wonderful episode. And basically the arc of that episode is Dr. Bruce Maddox comes aboard the Enterprise and they want to decommission Data, who's a commander on the Enterprise,
really?
to study him so they can make more.
Oh.
And what happens is his thesis is that Data isn't a human being. He does not have free will. Data does not, because he's an android, he does not have free will. So what happens is a trial. A trial takes place on the Enterprise.
It's called The Measure of a Man.
The Measure of a Man.
That's a great title.
It is. And so all these admirals like come and it's like a big deal. And obviously Dr. Bruce Maddox is the prosecutor trying to prove that Data doesn't have free will, and Picard is the one who defends him. And Picard gives this beautiful speech at the end, which really, seals the deal. And it's Picard, and it's this wonderful
His
moment.
closing statement.
Right. And so Dr. Bruce Maddox loses that. And we never really hear from him again. There may be one other time he's on an episode in a brief matter, but he's not really a thing. So, man, when they said that, I was like, holy shit, deep cut. Hell yes.
That's awesome.
This to me is what this does tell me is that Picard is, at least in the beginning, at this point, is going back to that traditional Star Trek model. Let's set these interesting social issues and these interesting cultural problems and issues, and let's put them in a new perspective and deal with them in a different way we haven't thought of, right? So, like, to me, this show is obviously going to be about androids and
about artificial intelligence.
Is artificial intelligence real life? Do they have free will? Do they have rights?
Yeah. And we had a great thing even about the Borg, and it's all about simulation and AI.
Exactly. They were the opposite of free will, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then obviously at the end, it's revealed she had a twin, and obviously we're going to deal with that. And the Romulans seem to be definitely a main threat, which is, of course, the Romulans after the Klingons were, the main villain in Star Trek.
Right.
So yeah, I loved this episode. There were so many other things. There was like the Captain Picard Day banner that references, a very specific episode that was great. The Pegasus was that episode, and just all the little things in there were like the one of the ships that had like engines on top and bottom of the model. That's the USS Stargazer, which was the first ship that Captain Picard was captain of before the Enterprise.
Cool.
Yeah, just all these cool references, and it's just, oh man, it hit me in every way. That
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you just said that, and again, I don't know this.
Yep.
You said that the Romulans were the bad guys, basically for TNG and up, and the Klingons were the bad guys for the OG series.
Sure.
Right. So was it like a really cool thing? Because now I'm thinking about it. The JJ movie is the Romulans versus the OG crew. So is it like a cool like clash of generations there? I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
was that? Did they ever fight the Romulans in the OG series?
I want to say that perhaps the Romulans came in at the end of the original Star Trek, because like what happens is the Federation makes a treaty with the Klingons.
Right.
And I want to say the Romulans start at the beginning of that, but I can't remember. But they are heavily a part, other than the Borg, they're incredibly heavy part of TNG.
Gotcha.
I would say the main thing of TNG is the Borg, just because it introduces the Borg. And obviously, Captain Picard is assimilated. I don't know if you realize that.
Yeah.
Captain Picard is assimilated into the Borg. He's
Was
known
First
as,
Contact? First Contact was not before TNG.
It was during TNG.
Right.
No, it wasn't before.
So First Contact wasn't the Borg's first appearance?
No. It was,
Really?
it was in episodes of TNG.
Oh.
And it's the one they first appear, and then I think that's not the arc. I think it's a 2-episode arc with the Borg. And then when he's assimilated, that's later, a different arc.
Man, I want to watch
And
First
he's
Contact
called,
again.
he has a cool name. I can't remember what it is right now. But yeah, that really, to me, why First Contact seems so good, because Picard's like vindictive against the Borg in that movie.
Oh.
And that's referencing the fact that he was assimilated and he like hates them, basically.
Oh, it makes
it's like
sense.
this race that he can't stand because they like took his humanity away from him, at least temporarily.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Man, I gotta check this stuff out.
It's great. You
It
got to
sounds-
watch Star Trek.
Well,
to me,
you
Star Trek: The Next Generation is the best Star Trek.
Well, you
series
sold
so
it.
far.
You sold me on it. Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna be back next week.
More,
give
baby.
Give me more.
2 days,
And-
right? Thursday night.
Oh wow, yeah, I guess so. So
Premieres on Thursday
it'll
night.
be pretty soon. So next week we'll be talking about Picard episode 2, and we'll see how many episodes it is. Daniel, have you found that out yet?
I don't remember if they've announced that.
Okay.
I want to say 8 to 10, but they have confirmed season 2, which is hell yeah.
That's true.
I will say my only worry is I just hope to God Sir Patrick Stewart stays in good enough health to just keep doing the show.
of
I
course.
don't imagine us getting more than like 3 seasons because of that.
But I think it makes it perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes it like a perfect
It's going to be
self-contained
a
thing.
perfect ending to his character, and I just, oh man.
Yeah, that's the thing though. We got a perfect ending with the TNG series because the thesis of that was kind of like trusting your crew. You know,
It was a great series ending. I mean, TNG's series finale is fantastic, but I think Captain Picard was the best character on TNG. I mean,
Right.
I don't think many people would debate that. There was amazing characters.
what is his name?
Worf.
I said Worf.
Oh my God. No,
Worf.
Worf's great, but he's also, Worf actually ends up
Where's
going.
not Worf show, man?
After TNG, Worf actually is on Deep Space Nine
Yeah, I knew
for
that.
several seasons. But
Cool.
yeah, man, he's the best character. And I think picking up 20 years later and seeing how the world has changed and how Captain Picard is reacting to that, it's wonderful. It's just perfect.
Well, that's awesome. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like you're looking forward to it.
I am.
So, Daniel, if people want to talk to us about Picard and talk to us about all the cool things we've been talking about
Yep.
and have questions or comments or suggestions for the show, how can they find us?
They can go to bit.ly/24onmail like Joey did this week. We got a response
We had
from
a
Joey. Hey, Joey.
We got Joey who?
I'm not sure. I think it's the same guy that was messaging us on Facebook because he called us Fandalorians.
Oh, Joe Williams.
Joe Williams. But
Joe
he said
Williams.
Joel.
Gotcha.
Shit. I'm so sorry. I said Joey. It's
Oh,
Joel.
See, I know what's up.
Damn. Okay. So anyway, he had a couple things he wanted to respond to us.
Oh, wow, Joe, I like
He
this.
agreed with you on the DC Infinite Multiverse stuff. He believes the DC movies are considered separate Earths in DC Multiverse, therefore
Thank you.
they're canon.
Thank you.
I don't care, Joel. It's still not good. Second, I also
Jesus.
break his heart because I don't like the CW shows. Sorry.
Joel, you're a good guy. You already knew this, but I'm going to let you know again. You're a good guy. What else he says?
Yeah, he says I should definitely see Shazam's hashtag
Yeah, you
Real
should.
Captain Marvel.
He is the real Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I know.
He is
That's fine.
first.
He was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do want to see that, Joel. I will.
You know,
see
if
that.
you get the DC online service, you can go back and watch the original Shazam television show in HD. They have it remastered now on there.
Okay.
The original Billy Batson. It's like that's my first introduction
I remember
to Shazam.
my dad watched that growing up.
Yeah,
He
it's
loved
got,
that.
it's got some charm to it.
He loved it.
It's got some charm
yeah.
to it.
And then the last one I'll read for you because it's kind of more directly talking about Green Lantern.
Yeah, go for it.
He says, he's mentioning obviously the Green Lantern film. He says, I'm not proud of this as both films ruining some of my DC universe or my favorite DC characters. I played a security guard in Green Lantern that gets tased by Hector Hammond.
No, he does
Then I
not.
play a Union soldier that gets blown up on a train in Jonah Hex. Both films are obviously disappointing, but I can take a little pride to say that I'm part of the DC universe.
Are you serious, Joel? I meant
What the fuck, dude? You were in Green Lantern and
you never told
Jonah
me?
Hex?
I know Joel from Well, he's married to my old band teacher, Alicia Harris,
Okay, and from Batesville.
from Batesville. Yeah, and we end up
What the fuck, Joe?
we end up
What?
we end up running into each other. I think for the first time, whenever I went and saw Endgame for my 5th time at the old Melville Theater in Batesville, I think I ran into him there for a short second, I believe. And no, it's really cool, Joe.
God
Now,
damn, Joel.
You
Why
need-
didn't you tell us this? Like,
when is it again? So I can.
so he said he was he played a security guard in Green Lantern that gets tased by Hector Hammond,
Okay.
and then he plays a Union soldier that gets blown up on a train in Jonah Hex.
Really?
What's Jonah Hex? I don't. what's
Jonah
that?
Hex. You know what Jonah Hex is? Well, funny enough, and I say funny enough, Josh Brolin played Jonah Hex. It's a DC property. He's basically
It's set in like the Civil War.
It's set during during the Western time, and basically
Okay.
it's like he ends up getting his face messed up, and it's actually it's got Megan Fox in it, of course.
When did it come out?
Early before Green Lantern, that kind of that period when Fantastic Four,
10, 11.
2004, no 2004, 5, 6,
Oh,
7.
way long ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
during that time period. I didn't hate it. It's got some problems, but DC they end up having him come back on Legends of Tomorrow, and not Josh Brolin, but the character.
Are you pulling up the?
I'm
clip
pulling
from
up.
Green Lantern?
I've got Green Lantern on my.
Okay, do you know what that scene? Where that scene
I'm
is?
fixing to find.
He gets a security guard
I'm fixing to
tased
find it
by
by.
Hector Hammond.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you know what that scene might be?
I'll give me 30 seconds. Filibuster.
Okay,
then.
filibuster. Joel, you beautiful human. Why didn't you tell us you were cameoing in superhero movies before this? Now you probably need to come on the show and talk about those experiences. 'Cause that would be badass. Thank you for being the consistent person that listens to our show and writes into us. It's really not. I'm not being facetious. It feels good. Please keep doing it.
It does.
Not in a sexual way, but just in a good way.
In a good
Okay?
non-sexual way.
Non-sexual. It's. I almost said placenta. It's God damn it! What's that word with a P that means non-sexual?
Platonic?
Platonic, not placenta.
Yeah, definitely not placenta. So
I don't know why that word was in my head. I do have a child. Maybe that's
So right here we have Hector Hammond with Angela Bassett's
We
character.
can't show this
I'm
to you
not-
because we'll get demonetized.
I'm not quite sure this is the scene, but he is fixing to throw around some not shield, some.
Ooh, what is that montage thing?
This is Hector Hammond is being he's touched Angela Bassett, and granted this is back in the time when that might be him right there. That might be Joe right there. I think that might be him. They're right there. I think that's him right there. Holy shit, Joe! I don't know.
Joel.
Yeah, you're out of
How
focus.
did you get in this movie? Are you an actor?
You're
Are you
out-
like living
he
in
is
Hollywood?
he is an actor.
Does he live in Hollywood?
No, he lives here in Batesville.
I wonder if this was made like in Atlanta.
Well, let's look at this right here. Is that can't be Joel right there? That's not Joel. That's not Joel. I don't think that's
Is
Joel.
one of those are
No.
security guards.
No, it's not one. It's not. He's not. Well, let me look. I'm sorry for you viewers out there.
No, this is fucking important. And
No,
if you have also been in a Marvel or DC movie, write into us.
Please, yeah, please.
Oh man.
I'm also maybe in the wrong section of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Let me read this specifically.
Okay.
He tases him.
A security guard in Green Lantern that gets tased by Hector Hammond.
Right. So
This looks like where it would happen.
yeah, I
Because
mean
there's
this is
security
the
guards.
only time he actually actually hurts anyone is during this scene right here. He starts kind of throwing around chaos here. But does he actually tase him? Let's see.
Does he turn into that monster?
Yeah. Oh, look at this. So here's the tase scene.
He's one of them.
Yeah. So wait, do we see him? Maybe there's a blinking.
There was
distant
4 of
camera.
them there.
There was 4 of them there.
God damn, Joel.
That's pretty cool.
That's impressive. Holy shit.
Pretty
Thank
cool.
you. We are now officially a podcast that gets written in by an actor in the DCEU. We're going to put that all over our fucking copy. You know what I mean? In fact, that needs to be the title
I'm
of this
rewinding.
episode. Having a conversation, podcast 2 for 1 episode, whatever. Conversation with a DCEU actor.
I'm in slow motion here. Joe, we're going to have you on. I think that was him right there, actually.
That's awesome. That's fucking awesome, Joel. Congratulations.
That's pretty cool.
And congratulations to us for you writing into us.
Yeah. Anyway, that's pretty neat. If you have any more cool things like that, please write us in. And we'll hit you up.
bit.ly/2for1.
I don't have Jonah Hex, so I can't pull that up at the moment. But of course, I had Green Lantern on here, so that was an easy grab. But that's really neat. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
cool.
So write us in. Tell us other cool shit. And in Jonah Hex.
I think Baby Yoda is the cutest thing ever.
No. That was your stupid ass like fake write-in you do. By the way, you know that write-in a few episodes ago, Samantha fucking Trail?
Don't tell him
It was
that.
this asshole. And he didn't tell me till after the episode. So I pretended like it was and when I read it, I was like, this reads like a fucking
Whatever.
8-year-old. Like this reads like someone that is genuinely not funny or cool.
Whatever.
Like that's what I was.
You were like, it's so cool. We got to write.
Yeah, exactly. Because I thought someone wrote in, but then I found out this motherfucker was that's fraud. You all should be mad at
It
him.
wasn't fraud until
It's
you told him
fraudulent
five
bullshit.
minutes ago.
No, it was. I just revealed the fraud. I'm the whistleblower.
Yeah, well,
I'm the Edward Snowden of this podcast.
You're literally fucking us. So anyway, thank you again for writing into us, Joel. If you have anything else, write into us. Please, we need to set this up. Come to the episode. We'll talk about your time on Green Lantern and also on Jonah Hex and just all the cool nerdy things we'll talk about.
Baby.
So stay tuned for some of our baby casts coming out. Recently, check out the last one that just aired. We talked about Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and our next baby cast will be Daniel's first viewing of
Spider-Man Homecoming. Far From Home.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
Far From Home. And honestly, it's a sin that I haven't seen it up to now. But since I haven't, we decided to make it into like a little mini retro review, even though it came out last summer.
It's
very
still
retro.
Yeah, but it makes sense. It makes sense.
It's more like a late review.
It's a late review, but we'll call it retro just for consistency.
We do what we want.
We do. We have the red and blue behind us, so light side,
do what we want.
dark side, baby.
Yeah.
My name is Donovan Thompson.
And I'm Daniel Wingfield.
Oh, please find us on Instagram and Facebook.
That was your fault.
And
It was a little startling.
it was a little startling. Facebook, Instagram, add us on podcast_241 on Instagram. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, leave a review.
iTunes.
5-star reviews, only 5-star reviews.
Only. Yeah. If you give us any less, just fuck off.
There you go. So for a second time, my name is Donovan Thompson.
And I am Daniel Wingfield.
Watch our podcast, make it so, because we have spoken.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.